It hits you hard, doesn't it? This Is Who You Are is one of the best songs I've ever heard, hands down, for anything, anywhere, in any franchise. And it goes along with the theme of the video that I wanted to do about, some of the dreams that I've had, some of the amazing stuff. And it blows my mind. I don't know if I will ever be able to get AI art or anything commissioned that will ever do it justice, but I will try. It is amazing. Now, the game itself I've been playing for years, and I will have to dedicate that to another video very, very soon. And I mean just take a whole bunch of different parts, chop it together, and just do something amazing with it. Because it's relevant to our lives, but that's an entirely different topic. As far as this particular one, I've had some incredible dreams that I've just had to write down. I've had to not just remember, but to keep them stored, just so I don't forget them, because they were amazing. And this is just the ones that are appropriate. I've had some inappropriate ones that I don't understand. It makes no sense. I don't want to go into them though. The ones that I remember, the ones that are tip of my mind, are the ones that I'm talking about, because they hit that perfect note that I still think about time and time again. Like, they are that good. If it wasn't for these dreams, I wouldn't remember them. I wouldn't be doing this. And I wouldn't be trying to record this stuff. As it is, this is a back burner issue that I just happened to find time to go do. And maybe it'll inspire someone else. Maybe you guys will remember to go write them down or something. Maybe, because everyone can have some awesome dreams. They really can. So with that said, the best dream I've ever had, I will start with that, because it's the one that means a lot personally to me. And frankly, I don't think AI art will ever do it justice, but maybe one day. The thing is, this first dream is roughly in the middle of nowhere, with forest all around, a very flat environment, maybe like Nevada or something like that. So it is probably 3 miles high, 5 miles long, and probably 500 plus feet wide. Like, this is a very huge structure, massive. And it is like a natural museum of sorts. It is completely white. It has these huge beams with elevators going up inside the middle. So it's like a bridge, and every now and then it's going to have these huge beams and stuff that connects to the rest of it, which there are escalators going on the ends. And there's about 3 levels each that are a couple of, I want to say 400, 500 feet high. So the 3 miles, like, these are hundreds of feet in between each section. And it's got multi-layers in between the 3 main segments, which is why it's 3 miles high, but it covers a lot of ground. And it has a whole bunch of benches. It's got a whole bunch of art and natural displays from the surrounding area, I would assume, maybe from some of the Indian tribes or whatever. Just amazing stuff. And in this particular dream, there was water and rain, so it was absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen anything like it. Like, you could walk around on these different levels, go up and down different stairs within the particular area. And if you're trying to simply enter or leave, you could take the short way, the quick way, and take the elevators in the beams, the support, and you'd be down within like a couple of minutes. Or you could take the longer route, the escalators, and go down the sides. So just absolutely gorgeous. This thing is massive, and you've got art of all kinds. Now, this is art that would survive in the elements, so to speak. it would be underneath a roof in some areas, but others, the water would be flowing down absolutely gorgeous. Like, just the natural rain was, all of this was built with the natural rain in mind to complement and add to the art, which is one of the most impressive parts that I remember from the dream. So, just absolutely gorgeous. The second one that I remember, it has a unique tone, and I have never forgotten this. This was in the middle of night, probably around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a normal house set on a hillside, so to speak. And it was a very beautiful night out. There was the moon out, but there was not a sound to be made, not a sound to be heard. Eventually, I think probably an hour passed when I was done just marveling at the landscape in the house, because the house itself was pretty good. It's very well done. Not like the size of a mansion or anything like that. I couldn't tell you how it looked like. It looked like one of the many average homes out there that had a little bit of extra love and care put into it. A little bit of extra windows and such. Probably like a $500,000 through $800,000 home, complete with a very nice but short driveway. Anyway, there was trees all over the property. So the property itself was probably like 400 square feet, so to speak, because there was trees all over, outside and around the home and the driveway. But the part that I remember was that these holes, probably about 1.5 feet wide, straight across from the hole itself. So they're not exactly big, but they started appearing from the ground, which was very odd. And I remember hearing things coming up from below them. The last thing I remember before waking up was, like, I backed away. I was just getting very unnerved by the ending there, but something broke free, and I don't know what it was, but that's when I woke up and I didn't remember anything else. That dream was crazy. There was another one too. Another one that was, I don't want to say similar location, because it had like a cemetery graveyard feel to it, like on the backside of this property. But there was a maze in the backyard, the back part. There wasn't like a graveyard or anything, but the graveyard theme was definitely there, and this was like a maze of some kind. And there were elements that you could climb on. So you had like a ladder, you had a whole bunch of bricks that you would climb up or climb over, climb on, including a gate. It was almost like a natural, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, and I haven't been able to, all to this time. If you remember those old video games where you had to put gadgets together and stuff like that, it was like this, built onto the backside of this home. So it had a very mysterious air to it, but it was completely fun. It was completely like enjoyable. It was just like a graveyard experience though. So you had like tombstones, decoration, black cats. You had a whole bunch of different stuff just decorating the back of it. It just like, I'll never forget that. I wrote down some other stuff too that I had to write this stuff down. It was amazing. Okay. I'll read this off since I wrote it down. July 5th, 2022. I had quite the dream last night. Apparently there's a huge craft of some kind out in space that's lying dormant, and the dream, as far back as I remember, is of me and a team of others, like 6 to 10 others, including a female doctor/physician. And we are already in space floating towards this ship, like inside of it where it didn't have gravity. Like the gravity itself was shut off at some point. I don't remember anything before this, and I don't remember how we entered the ship either. I do remember, now that I'm reading this, I do remember it, and it was crazy. Nothing like it ever. This was off-planet. This was an off-planet in outer space dream that terrified me to the point that I woke up and remembered it, because I ended up in outer space. So we find ourselves on board and we start investigating, not finding bodies, but only broken, discarded piles of equipment, office stuff like folders, chairs, and papers all over the place. I think somewhere around this time we go back outside and discover the outside isn't completely damaged, because I remember being out there for a while and testing this grenade launcher of some kind. Part of it was weird because it felt like it would be outside here on a warm, sunny day, because you would see the rays from the sun coming down. As I said, this part lasted for like probably hours. So moving, one of us finds something that tells of a story of what was happening. Recorded, this was an actually recorded voice. And that there was another female doctor as the one in our group. Surprised, we tried to go find out where she was and what she was doing. Interestingly, I asked something about how she had died, because on the sheet it had said something about her being dead and something about there being someone else's blood being involved, like she had slipped on a pile of blood and ended up being impaled. Of course, I asked about this, and I think all I got back was a shrug. So maybe there were some things being hidden, or just poor attention to detail, and poor just no recordings, nothing written down. So who knows? Let me add that somewhere in all this, where real people in restaurants, and I don't remember anything other than waiting for others, looking for a restaurant to go wash my hands, and wringing out my sweaty shirt and putting it back on. It was another odd moment, like as if I was back on Earth again. Anyway, in the process of looking for her, we discovered a lot, including what looked like a white and black long box. It had the female doctor's name on it, but basically right before opening, the female doctor starts running towards us and said, "No, wait." But it gets open and the female doctor falls down apparently dead, while this robot that's white, Lucian, and gray with no arms sits up wordlessly. It could have been that, the speculation is, it could have been turned, the other female doctor could have been turned into this robot. So as far as I've been able to speculate, that's probably what happened, but there's almost nothing there. From there on out, it gets worse with noises and strange stuff that makes me paranoid about the doors and making sure they were closed so that I could watch her back so we don't get surprised. This is a little bit different than the other dream, but the other dream goes into the fact that it was also outer space, where the end is what I remember. This huge floating dinosaur that was apparently real but frozen, or it was a huge massive balloon that was made to look realistic, that was floating, and it was on the surface of the moon. We were in a spaceship that was damaged in flight for something damaged it to the point where we couldn't move. We couldn't even get back home, get back to Earth. And I ended up waking up in a cold sweat, because I was like, dude, we're stuck here in the middle of nowhere in space, and there's this huge thing floating outside. It was really cool, but ended up just very scary on a note of, we're stuck out here, we're not getting back. Whoo, crazy stuff. Let me see here. So there was a huge crack running down the middle of the vessel, and that is probably what added to my paranoia about never being able to get back, is because this huge thing just popped out of nowhere. I don't remember anything as far as what damaged the craft, but it could have ran into the dinosaur itself, and that's where the crack came from. Who knows? So just some crazy stuff. Now, it's like space horror in the sense where there was blood and there were bodies, but it happened in such a very unusual way that I remembered it. Obviously, if you want something that's really like space horror, go watch Event Horizon. Just epic movie, done well in a lot of ways. But if you want space horror, that's it. This dream had a bit of a space horror feel to it. Whew, yeah. Good stuff. Let me see here. Recently, December 19, 2023, this is a crazy dream. Me and someone else trying to escape from these patrols. I want to say they were Russian patrols because they were speaking a different language I didn't understand. And I mean, who knows? Who knows who they were? This was in a different language I couldn't recognize. Me and this guy were trying to escape from somewhere, and we were just crawling along. And I remember him getting taken. Like, we had a couple of close calls, and we ended up, well, once he ended up getting taken, this was in the middle of like applying camouflage, like putting on mud and leaves and trying to hide. He ended up getting caught in the process of that. So it's just literally me a couple feet away trying to make it out because my buddy here just got caught. And that was basically it. The whole dream was just me trying to like make it and survive and not get caught. So use every trick in the book, including putting a whole bunch over you. Not just dead leaves and mud, but like branches and staying still for hours. Like this whole dream took place for hours. So, moving on. One of the coolest dreams that I remember seeing was involving a tank. A whole bunch of tanks in my old unit in the Army. Maybe not necessarily the whole, but definitely a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people from the past. And we were, the only part I remember really is flying overhead, because I remember the sky. I remember seeing the gorgeous scenery, and this was in between this coastal edge. So there was like a huge massive island, stone walls and all that here, an ocean front with beach and tracks that we were eventually rode on inside of these tanks. I couldn't tell you what type of tanks that they were, but except that they were fast. They were just probably 60 miles per hour, 60 to 80 miles per hour, somewhere in there. And we were just going. We were going in between these two places to some other point. But at some point I was in an aircraft. I don't remember if it was before, if it was during, or after. I don't remember that. And it was a really gorgeous flyby, and that part drive-by with the tanks. Oh man, it's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing like it. I've had other dreams too. One was a scary individual. I don't know if I wrote it down or not. Let me see here. Okay, this one was pretty good. It was a shootout. In short, it was a shootout. I woke up with my adrenaline pumping as in a dream. Me and my mom were in a car similar to the one I have now. This blue Toyota Yaris. And my mom, let me see here. We were driving down this highway to somewhere. I don't remember where, but this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning. But this was after visiting my cousins, which I think is why my dad took another car to go home. Anyway, we heard gunshots ring out along with some seriously loud sirens that sounded like they came from cop cars. There were cars behind us speeding up and passing us before piling up a good 100, 200 feet in front of us, which slowed us to a crawl. The only problem was that it took like 10 minutes to figure out, though, that there were no cop cars present. And that's when I realized what was going on and basically told my mom, we need to switch. We need to get out of here. Because the thing was, this was starting to turn into a trap, and it was triggering my senses, my alert, and all the warning bells in my head were going off, and I was like, dude, we need to get out of here. The thing was, there was no deaths that occurred. You didn't see any bodies. It was eventually a lot of stillness, but that was because everyone was probably hunkered down in their vehicles, just like, we don't want to deal with this, we don't want to attract attention. But I remember seeing these people approach us from the rear. They had flashlights and weapons, and since I had swapped places with Mom, I was driving forward inch by inch, and I remember at the very end, gunning. I smashed through the last couple of vehicles because I'd angled right where I could use the vehicle that we were in to force aside the others to just drive straight on through. And that was how we ended up getting away. And once we had cleared the last one, I ended up just waking up out of relief. But those sirens were loud. Like, it came out of nowhere. It was crazy, man. Now, since there were vehicles, you know, like, I live next to a busy road and all that, like, vehicles passing by, I could have honked a couple of horns or something, which would have added to that. So realistically, the horns probably were triggered by that. This was July 26, 2023, so July of last year. Oh, man. Let me see here. Let me see. I had a crazy ass dream that looked like a demonic person, like it was some form or version of Pinhead. He had long, curly fingernails holding this decrepit looking book. And the whole scene was one of fire. Like, he was posing amidst and had his picture taken in the midst of his home or something that was burning in the background. Oh man, it was crazy. The thing was, he could have been scarred too rather than demonic. That's a possibility. The thing is, he had like a black shirt on and with like a cross on it. But since he looked fairly somewhat evil, and the dream itself, I ended up waking up, but I don't remember anything beyond that. Just that still image with the crackling flames behind him. I don't even remember what his face looked like. I just remembered like the hands with the really long nails that were starting to curl, and the fact that there was fire everywhere, a black something on with a cross in the middle, holding this burnt, decrepit looking book. Like there were spells or something in it. Just absolutely crazy. Let me see here. There was a dream I had, this was from years ago, 2008, 2009, and I never forgot it. This was some combat, some fight that me and some others, 2 others specifically, were in with this female. I don't remember what happened to the male, but the female there, she ended up getting hurt, injured to the point of dying, but she wasn't dying fast enough. And I remember waking up because I woke up crying. I admit I woke up crying to this because this was absolutely horrific on any level. But the thing was, she had gotten hurt so bad, and her request was basically to cut her in half, which made no sense. It made no sense whatsoever, but like, I remember doing that, fulfilling her wish, and it broke me. Like, I just never seen anything like it. And I was just like laying there holding her in my arms afterwards. But I was just like, what the hell? I had never had that happen before. Oh man, this was on my day off too. Like, this was like on a Saturday. I woke up on a Saturday morning and I was crying. I never had that dream before. I've had dreams with women in it and stuff happening, going on, like excursions, events, or something with like cousins, but nothing involving a conflict with someone who I was apparently friends with, who got injured to the point of dying, who wanted to be put out of her misery. Oh, it killed me inside, man. Just crazy. But yeah, that one was one of the most impactful ones I've ever had. I barely remember much of the location. This was in the middle of a field with some trees. There was a lot of people and a lot of bodies nearby. That too. The gear itself, this was a bit on the older side, probably 600 years in the past, 700, I don't know, maybe biblical times with the Roman, how it's depicted with the Romans with their swords, some of the barbarians and all that. This wasn't new technology at all. There was a couple of swords and some old school armor. Basically, that was it. As far as her, there was nothing revealing. So no midriff exposed like in some of the video games that there's jokes about. There's nothing like that. Which also makes it more strange on how I could have accomplished her request of cutting her in half. It still blows my mind how that even just happened in one hit. But yeah, crazy. Just crazy. Let me see here. Let me see. Oh yeah, I had this one dream that blew me away because it was like a Japanese mansion from all around. It was just crazy because I remember coming back to this place and there were 6 or 7 naked women. I had somehow had my own harem, and it just the interactions with the women just blew my mind. I was a business owner in charge of a harem. I told others and I was just this makes no sense whatsoever. It was crazy. There was no sexual activities, there was nothing inappropriate, but it blew my mind. I don't know anything about these women. There was a mixture of Japanese, American. These women were all all kinds, and there was only 8 women, so each one, I don't know, but they were not the same, and they came from different countries. They looked different. Some had black hair, so others had brown hair, and I think one had silverish hair. Just crazy. Oh man, I completely forgot about that. That's probably the most inappropriate dream that I've had, but it wasn't sexual or anything like that. Jeez. Oh man. I remember falling in a couple of these dreams too. The one that was recent, a couple of weeks ago, in fact, we were in this city that had a part that was falling apart, literally. The gravity included. But the gravity was messed up because at this corner, at the very corner of the city, it looked like something happened and everything was being sucked away, it was falling away due to earthquake or something like that. But completely outside of it was just pitch black darkness. So this was all outside too. This wasn't indoors or anything. But since this was the edge of a city that looked like it was going out into outer space or something weird like that, it almost looked like a huge round, or maybe a part of a dark hole just kind of hit, because that entire part, that corner, was completely gone, and parts that remained were falling. It looked like it was falling / floating there. But the thing was, this was in the middle of a huge firefight that I didn't really notice up until I had ended up missing a ledge and falling. I had a jetpack strapped to my back, and I ended up missing. I was oh, let's check it out. Let's see how far it goes. It got pitch black very quickly as I fell further and further. I was just gravity's kind of messed up or something because it's not kicking in. I'm falling farther and farther away. Oh crap, I need to turn this thing on. So I turned the jetpack on. Tried to. Didn't turn on. I was like, oh shit. Ended up having a, I had, what do they call those things? It's one of those things that Batman has where he would shoot it out of a gun. It would stick into like a rock or something and anchor itself. One of those things, like a harpoon or something. So anyway, had this thing, shot it up, managed to get myself out of there, out of that gravity area, that gravity well, whatever that was. But that entire area was completely like destroyed in the gravity, which is totally messed up. And I don't even know what lay down at the bottom of all that too. It could have been like outer space. It could have been something like Cloud City in Star Wars in episode like 4, where Luke just fought Vader and fell down. And he was clinging to the very edge there. And this was in the middle of, on top of the planet. And if he would have just fell, he would have kept on falling and burned up in the atmosphere. It could have been something along the lines of that. This was crazy, man. Oh, that was just wow. Let me see here. Oh, just wow. Oh, I think that's about it. Pipes, building. I had some very fun, interesting dreams with pipes and buildings. Oh, wait, there was one more. This one was kind of strange, a little creepy, but just really enticing once you got to the middle of it. And basically me and like, I don't know, 20 other people, we had arrived on this. We were in this craft that was kind of like scrapped together, and it looked like it was duct taped with glue, and it was a hodgepodge of parts put together that actually worked. We were trying to get to this one place, I don't remember what, but I don't even know if we got to the destination we were trying to. We ended up coming across this huge, massive, mile-long shipwrecked cargo, this cargo ship, this freighter, and it had I want to say the far end was busted in parts, so we could just walk in through. So we basically tied up to the shore where we were at, because this whole thing was half in, half out of it was half in, half off of the shore into the water and all that. But we were able to get inside of it. I think we were able to get inside of it, but we ended up approaching from the ground, not actually like pulling up into the damaged parts, parking, and then just like hopping out. No, we secured our vessel somehow, but it was next to the boat itself and not on the boat. But anyway, we had ended up creeping through the front part of the boat that was destroyed, and there was definitely some water and stuff there, so like it wasn't completely like dry. It was completely pitch quiet. Just there was nothing, not a sound, just an eerie feeling. And when our eyes adjusted to the darkness, there was this pretty big container. I don't know if it was standard size or if it was actually larger, but I'm guessing from what I remember here, it was probably 2 to 3 times bigger than what you would normally deal with. And there was nothing else in the area. So it was very odd, very unusual. We just kind of like noticed it and just went on. And me and some other people, we ended up breaking off from the main group, which ended up just staying still on, I don't remember where, but they didn't try to find the captain's quarters. They didn't try to find the navigational areas. Like, we ended up going a little bit extra, just trying to figure out where everyone was at, what was going on. And I remember coming across overlooking the entire front, the main group, and inside where there was nothing but this huge, like just a big empty space with the huge freighter, the container. And I remember seeing this huge lever that I ended up pulling because I was, this is curious. And I remember looking out, seeing the doors to the freighter. It was closed, so it opened up, and I had gone distinctly bad feeling about that when I did that. I was like, oh crap. But I couldn't close the doors or anything. So eventually we started, me and everyone else there, we were just like, we were starting to hear some noises and stuff, and we were just trying to like tell each other to be more quiet and stuff. We didn't want to wake anyone or anything up that was in the container. But the problem was, things were coming out that we couldn't quite clearly make out. We started hearing screams of other people being attacked. And I remember just like, there's like oh shit, we gotta run, we gotta get out of here, we're being chased. It turns out, from what I remember seeing bits and pieces here, there were dinosaurs in there. We were being chased by dinosaurs. Velociraptors or whatever, which was part of the reason why it was so hard to make out. Yeah, I ended up making, but some other people didn't. They got they were turned into snacks and lunches and all that. It wasn't like gory or anything. It just like the suspense, the fear, the horror, and then the realization that you're not alone, and there are human munching monsters in there that want to make a snack out of you. You're just like, you're trying to like be quiet up until you realize there's something who notice you, and they're just like, we gotta get out of here. It was crazy. Whew. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that one with a snack shop. No. That was weird. That involved some guy's wife in the snack shop. Gorgeous wife, drop dead beautiful. I don't remember much of anything. It was weird. But I think there was a monster involved that was trying to chase us. All I'm going to say is being chased by monsters in movies is crazy. Anyway, this wife or whatever ended up in a wheelchair. I'm reading off of it. It really is not that big of a deal. It was crazy. I don't want to read it. I remember it, but I don't want to read it. It ended up very sad. Both the husband and the wife ended up getting killed. Very sad. I don't want to read it. Dreams are supposed to be crazy, interesting, mysterious, not sad and depressing. Obviously, you're going to probably have some ones that are like a bit more sexual or whatever. That happens. Of course, some people say there's meanings behind that, which I'm not going to go into. I'll just point that out. Let me see here. Ooh, massive crowd. Massive crowd. Wow. Okay. I don't even remember that one. Wow. Okay. Okay, so at one part there was a city that I was in, and there was multiple crimes happening all over the place, and I was trying to help out cops because it was intense with shootouts, firefights, but these were exquisite top-down shots with gorgeous scenery all around. So this was like not exactly in the middle of a city, but like there was definitely city and countryside and all that. Throughout it, I tried to minimize casualties while being as lethal carefully, since there were children in the vicinity. Because here's the thing, you got terrorists, you got people with guns trying to kill you, and you're just like, there's kids here, I gotta be careful. And I remember this because there were top-down portions, but there was also like a first-person point of view, me at the helm with a weapon of some kind, like a shotgun. I think it was a shotgun, but I'm having trouble remember. Just pressing the trigger, guys dropping. And there were some obstacles and stuff between me and them, so for some of the what I remember, barely what I remember is like between windows and something. Like there was windows between me and some of these guys. Just crazy, man. I remember like trying to keep the kids safe because I ended up running into them, trying to keep them out of the firefight that would occur because of these bad guys raiding. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you much as far as what happened. I don't remember, outside of it being stuck in between the city and the countryside, like this was probably in a school or something, which would explain the kids being there. Just wow. Jeez, man. Here's the thing though. Throughout the whole part of that dream, I was actually security helping cops. I was not a cop as well. So that would explain why I stumbled across some of the cops that were there, some of the SWAT or whatever, and why I decided to help them out, because I was probably working at the school when this shootout started happening. Yep, that was like a year ago. Whew, man. Oh, yeah. There was another dream. This is probably common. I'm sure other people have had it, but me and my mom were waiting in this waiting room when a gunman just went on through and started hearing the gunshots and stuff like that. I remember because I woke up suddenly and it was just crazy. This was in 2021. So yeah, I've had a couple of those too, but very, very few. So most of the dreams that I've had nowadays were nothing quite like any of that stuff at all. So crazy stuff, just nothing too serious, nothing too just like traumatizing. Oh, wowzer, just amazing stuff. I'm recording all of this because over the past 20 plus years, I've just had some crazy off the wall dreams that I had to write down. I've written some down in my journal. Oh man, I know I'm gonna have some more later down the road for sure, but this stuff just, there's nothing like it. You don't even know what triggers it. I mean, what I know is I was lucid through some parts of those, which is why I remember, because I woke up and it was still playing in my mind. So yeah, that's it. Crazy. Just dreams. All right, until next time. I hope you enjoyed this.